Rosenheck here at Beit Shraga Hebrew Academy of the Capital District. As of July 1st, I'm the head of school and completely thrilled to be here. It has been suggested to me that while I have communicated with the community, I've actually been here in a transitional mode since the end of April. I have not introduced myself to you yet. I haven't told you who I am. And there are some rumors floating around about, alpacas, for instance, and other things, but not a real clear picture of who I am, why it's so exciting for me to be here in Albany and at Beit Shraga Hebrew Academy, and what my future holds here. So I thought I would just share a little bit about myself personally, and let's get it over and done with, and then I'll go back to talking about the things that matter most here, which are your children and their education. So where have I been? I have been in Jewish education since 1983. I graduated university at Binghamton in 1982 and was quite certain I would be going into the world of advertising, and did go into the world of advertising. Spent some time in advertising, and then discovering a real entrepreneurial spirit, began to work for myself and be in an entrepreneurial venture, which led me to teaching Hebrew school to make some money to keep a roof over my head. To my great surprise, that was a transformative experience for me, and I discovered in my first year of teaching Jewish children and teenagers that meant more to me than anything I'd ever set my sights on before. Over these years, as I've developed both my resume, if you will, of different sorts of teaching in synagogues and camps. I was the assistant director of a central agency for Jewish education in South Florida, and then, of course, landing in schools, first the Prosdor Hebrew Studies, Jewish Studies program of the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York, and then day schools, where I founded a high school, a Schechter High School. That was a wonderful experience. Spent some time in several other K through 8 elementary schools, and now here. In between there, I actually took a sabbatical and worked in 3D virtual world Jewish education, so that I was sitting in a coffee shop with a computer screen in front of me and an avatar and a microphone on my head, and I had students in Istanbul and Haifa and Rhode Island and San Jose and New Jersey and New York and several other places, Buenos Aires by the end, working together in combined classes, doing teacher education in a 3D virtual world as well. It was quite exciting. But then I came back to the world of the actual 3D world of schools, because it's really my first love. So what am I doing here in Albany? All of my life, I have been coming to this region recreationally. My family has always come up this way to go camping in central New York and upstate New York. 4 of us and a dog in a tent and a canoe, and we were happy. When I became an adult, I began to do that on my own, coming and spending time in the Adirondacks, and more coming and spending time in the Berkshires, where I have fallen in love with the cultural life and the mixture of the hills and the trees and the beautiful, that northeast environment of the hills and the rolling farmland and those beautiful woods and forests where it's so cool underneath dappling light. It is truly my favorite physical environment to be in. And so as I think ahead in my future, I've realized that since the early 80s, I have wanted to run a bed and breakfast later on in my life, and I have wanted to do it up here, in or near the Berkshires, in or near the Adirondacks. I also love the Catskill Mountains. I'm not as familiar with the Green Mountains, but I like them when I'm there. So Albany seemed to be the place to come, and so serendipitous and wonderful that the search committee for the school reached out to me in February, and we began to talk about whether this was a good fit. For me, it put everything in place. It's a beautiful fit. in each conversation with somebody at the school, I fell more and more in love with the school, and I saw more and more that the skills I bring, which are primarily as a teacher educator, the ideas that I have educationally, the context I have been looking for of a community willing to shift into 21st century mode and really do the kind of thinking that brings dependent young people to a point of autonomy and independence where they are capable, centered, principled, responsible, joyful humans who can function in the world. They don't need to have everything black and white. They don't need to have every problem solved for them. They have a sense of who they are. To me, that's what compels me as an educator. And I saw here a community willing, already planning to go in that direction. To have that at the same time that that school is located in the very place where I want to go to my end game retirement work of running a bed and breakfast, of raising alpacas because they're cute, was ideal.